Ladies and gentlemen, we encourage you to please take your seats at this point. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I invite you to take your seats. I think we can start. Good morning again. My name is Pierre-Paul Antonissens. I'm from EDF company and member of the board of Euro-Uz. I would like to invite on stage the panelists and the participants of the opening ceremony. I would like to invite first the advisor to the President of the Republic of Uzbekistan, Mr. Ravshan Guliamov. Please. The Minister of Investment, Industry and Trade, Mr. Laziz Kudratov. The CEO of Suez for Europe and Central Asia, Mr. Paul Bourdillon. The Or-class advisor from the European Commission, Mr. Henrik Hololei. And the ambassador of the European Union to Uzbekistan, Mr. Toivo Klar. And I would like to invite for the opening remarks, Mr. Ravshan Guliamov. Thank you.
Thank you. Yevropa iqtisodiyot kunlari biznes forum ishtirokchilariga. Hurmatli biznes forum ishtirokchilari, xonimlar va janoblar. O'zbekiston Respublikasi va Yevropa ittifoqi o'rtasida iqtisodiy aloqalarni har tomonlama kuchaytirish, hamkorlikni yangi istiqbolli yo'nalishlarini belgilab olishga qaratilgan bugungi muhim tadbirga ishtirok etayotgan siz azizlarni samimiy qutlayman. Yevropa Komissiyasi Prezidenti Ursula von der Leyen xonim oliyalariga mazkur biznes forumi o'tkazilishi bevosita qo'llab-quvvatlaganligi uchun chin dildan tashakkur izhor etishdan mamnunman. Ishonchim komilki, ilk bor o'tkazilayotgan bu anjuman Yevropa bilan o'zaro savdo-iqtisodiy, investitsiya va kooperatsiya aloqalarimizni yanada mustahkamlashga juda katta hissa qo'shadi. Shuningdek, munosabatlarimizni yangi bosqichga ko'tarishga qaratilgan ushbu samarali platforma do'st davlatlarimiz o'rtasidagi mavjud salohiyatlarni ochishga xizmat qilishi bilan ham g'oyat ahamiyatlidir. Fursatdan foydalanib, savdo-iqtisodiy hamkorlikni kuchaytirishga qaratilgan quyidagi masalalarga alohida to'xtalib o'tmoqchiman. Birinchidan, so'nggi yillarda O'zbekiston va Yevropa ittifoqi o'rtasida savdo aylanmasi 2 baravar oshganligi va ittifoq mamlakatlarimiz mahsulotlari uchun eng yirik eksport bozorlaridan biriga aylanganligi katta mamnuniyat bilan qayd etmoqchiman. Yurtimizning Jahon savdo tashkilotiga a'zo bo'lish borasidagi muzokaralar Yevropalik sheriklarimizning yaqin ko'magida izchil davom etmoqda. O'zbekistonning GSP+ imtiyozlar tizimida faol ishtiroki eksport salohiyatimizni yanada oshirishga muhim rol o'ynamoqda. Bu tizim mahalliy tadbirkorlarga Yevropaning yetakchi kompaniyalari bilan yangi va boshsiz savdo imkoniyatlarini yaratdi. Albatta, yaqin istiqbolda Yevropa ittifoqi bilan kengaytirilgan sheriklik va hamkorlik to'g'risidagi bitimning imzolanishi aloqalarimizni yana shiddat bag'ishlashi shubhasiz. Ikkinchidan, bugungi kunda yurtimizda Yevropa davlatlarining kapitali ishtirokida tashkil etilgan korxonalar soni qariyb 1000 taga yetdi. Shuni ishonchingiz komil bo'lsin. Biz tadbirda ishtirok etayotgan barcha kompaniyalar uchun ham elektronika, mashinasozlik, kimyo, tog'-kon va metallurgiya, energetika, qishloq xo'jaligi, to'qimachilik, turizm va boshqa sohalardagi qo'shma loyihalarni amalga oshirish uchun barcha shart-sharoitlarni yaratib beramiz. Uchinchidan, Transkaspiy transport yo'lagi doirasida istiqbolga infratuzilma loyihalari va strategik muhim xomashyo resurslarini chuqur qayta ishlash bo'yicha Yevropa kompaniyalarining muhim loyihalarini amalga oshirishda chaqirib qolamiz. Hurmatli anjuman qatnashchilari, yangi O'zbekiston bilan faol hamkorlik qilib, bu yerda ortga qaytmas tus olgan islohotlarga va xalq farovonligiga o'zimizning munosib ulushimizni qo'shaman degan niyat bilan kelgan Yevropa biznes barcha vakillari uchun mamlakatimizning eshiklari doimo ochiqdir. Sizlarni yana bir bor chin qalbdan qutlab, barchangizga mustahkam salomatlik, ezgu ishlaringizda ulkan omadlar, forum ishiga esa muvaffaqiyat yor bo'lishini tilab qolaman. Shavkat Mirziyoyev, O'zbekiston Respublikasi Prezidenti.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce also the video message of the President of European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. Thank you very much.
Dear friends at the Euro-Uz Association for Economic Cooperation, members of the Uzbek and European business communities, ladies and gentlemen. For centuries, Uzbekistan has been the beating heart of global trade. European merchants would come to Samarkand, Bukhara, and Khiva for clothes and ceramics. And they would also bring back the tales of your magnificent palaces, your stunning landscapes, and your incredibly diverse culture. Today, Uzbekistan wants to open up to the world again. You want to take back your central position not only in Asia, but in global trade routes and investment flows. And Europe wants to be your partner for this new chapter in Uzbekistan's millennial history. Already in recent years, Uzbekistan and Europe have come closer than ever before. Let me just mention 3 examples. The first is on trade. Since 2021, we have opened up European markets to Uzbek goods. Uzbek exports to Europe have boomed, for instance, in textiles and metals. And the potential growth is still massive. Second, on investments. With our Global Gateway Investment Program, we are supporting your goal to be more connected to the rest of the world. For instance, together with our international partners, we're investing 10 billion euros in the Trans-Caspian corridor That is the shortest and safest route between Europe and East Asia. It will link Europe and Central Asia in less than 15 days. We are also exploring the possibility of connecting Uzbekistan to our satellite networks to bring top-class digital connections to your most remote areas. Uzbekistan is at the crossroads of our continents, and it must also be at the center of our global networks. And my third point is, we are expanding our cooperation in strategic sectors. Just last April, we signed a partnership on the sustainable raw materials value chain. We know that some global investors are mainly interested in extracting the raw materials from the ground. But that's not us. We want to support the creation of local industries with local jobs and local added value and the highest standards. Because this is the best way to build more resilient global value chains. And I hope that this economic forum can serve to establish new contacts between our companies and translate our new agreement into new business opportunities. Dear friends, all of this is just the beginning. Very soon, we will sign the new enhanced partnership and cooperation agreement, which will boost even more trade and investments between Uzbekistan and Europe. And I look forward to the first ever Central Asia-Europe Summit in Samarkand next year, as we celebrate 30 years of diplomatic relations between Uzbekistan and the European Union. I'm convinced of one thing: the best days of our partnership are ahead of us. So, let me wish to all of you a good time in Tashkent. Long live Europe.
It is a great pleasure and honor to introduce Laziz Kudratov, Minister of Investments, Industry and Trade of the Republic of Uzbekistan.
Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to welcome all of you in Tashkent on the occasion of the European Economic Days. Taking this opportunity, I would like to thank colleagues from Euro-Uz, all the team, for their constant support and active joint work in expanding horizons of our economic cooperation. We are pleased to see in this room representatives of hundreds of companies from European business community. Your presence here is a clear testament to the commitment, to the desire to enhance and deepen cooperation between Uzbekistan and Europe, and to develop joint initiatives, business initiatives that would contribute to our common goal. Dear friends, I would like to inform you that over the past few years, we have seen incredible transformation in trade landscape between Uzbekistan and EU. The trade between EU and Uzbekistan has doubled, of course, mostly due to Uzbekistan's inclusion in the GSP Plus preferential trade scheme. This arrangement has opened new opportunities, enabling Uzbekistan to increase its exports to Europe, bringing products of quality and sustainability to the EU market. Today, as advisor to the President, Mr. Gulamov mentioned, almost 1,000 European companies operate in Uzbekistan, demonstrating a strong commitment to our market. Among them are renowned names like EDF, Total Energies, Valtalia, Linde, Siemens, Knauf, and many, many others whose contributions to our economy bring vital expertise, technology, and innovation. We are implementing a solid package of investment projects with European companies worth more than 30 billion euros. Dear friends, I want to briefly outline some key structural transformations that took place in Uzbekistan that may be of interest to business. Since 2017, Uzbekistan has embarked on one of the most ambitious reform agendas in its history. We have taken bold steps to modernize our economy, enhance transparency, and support innovation across all sectors. These reforms have included the liberalization of currency, the reduction of bureaucratic barriers, and commitment to fostering a private sector-friendly environment. Recently, we have passed through the lower chamber of our parliament the new law on investment, which is aimed to create predictable legislation in the field of investment activity and strengthen the protection of investors' rights. We are also finalizing the updated law on free economic zones. The term for leasing land for foreign investors will be extended from 25 to 49 years. At the same time, the existing benefits and preferences in the zones guaranteed by the laws will be fully preserved. Our goal is to create an investment environment that not only attracts but also retains and grows foreign capital in Uzbekistan. Dear guests, I believe that economic cooperation between Uzbekistan and the EU has the potential to be further expanded. Let me briefly mention priority areas where we can broaden our partnership. First is development of Middle Corridor. We see the Middle Corridor as a critical link to facilitate efficient and secure trade between Europe and Central Asia. By enhancing infrastructure, reducing transit times, and streamlining customs procedures, we can unlock the full potential of this corridor, benefiting not only Uzbekistan but all participants along this critical route. We invite leading European companies to actively participate in the development of this significant route through implementation of specific investment projects. For example, recently, with the support of our international partners, we have recently put into operation a 240-kilometer section of the Kungrad-Beineo highway, which will contribute to the development of Middle Corridor on the part of Uzbekistan. This road will become part of the logistics network that will reliably connect our country with European markets through the ports of the Caspian and Black Seas. Second area is privatization. I would like to extend an invitation to each European company to participate in Uzbekistan's privatization processes. We are actively opening up state-owned enterprises and assets to private ownership, creating a multitude of opportunities for strategic investors. Earlier this year, we adopted a law on privatization. It regulates the procedure of preparation of state objects for privatization and ways of their implementation. Launched a new privatization program for the sale of the state's share in 250 facilities, almost 1,000 real estate objects, and conducting IPO of 12 enterprises. Third, cooperation in the field of critical raw materials. As the global demand for these essential resources continues to rise, this partnership offers an extraordinary opportunity to address shared challenges and leverage our respective strengths. Uzbekistan has colossal reserves of gold, copper, tungsten, silver, and uranium. Along with rare and unique minerals, we have deposits of more than 30 rare earth metals, including lithium, magnesium, molybdenum, and others. Recently, we have passed in the Parliament the new mining code, which was developed with the support of European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which is based on leading international standards for regulating investment projects in mining. We are interested in developing new projects in deep processing of strategic raw materials, creation of value chains, supporting responsible commercialization of mineral resources. It is gratifying to note that today's event will also mark the signing of the roadmap for the implementation of the MOU on a strategic partnership on sustainable raw material value chains between European Union and Uzbekistan. Dear partners, I don't want to take up too much time, but rather to give the floor to colleagues to elaborate on the topics in our agenda. Today we will also be having various panel session discussions in different topics, such as Uzbekistan's accession to WTO, privatization, critical raw materials, water management, energy, and many others. In closing, I would like to stress that the government of Uzbekistan is committed to create all the necessary conditions for European companies. We want you to be confident, and we want your business operations in Uzbekistan to be successful. I would like to invite each European guest business representative to utilize today's platform to interact with Uzbek companies who are also present today to develop new joint business initiatives. I wish everybody a successful and productive day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Laziz Shavkatovich. I'd like to invite Paul Bourdieu, CEO of Suez, Europe and Central Asia, and a member of the board of Eurouz.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and friends, thank you to the government of Uzbekistan and the Eurouz Association for organizing this great event, this great forum, representing the 30-year anniversary of strong relationships between Europe and Uzbekistan, and for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Suez, who is an active member of the business community in Eurouz. And as mentioned, I am a member of the board of Eurouz. I'd like to highlight how the close relationship between the European Union and Uzbekistan is a testament to the shared vision and progress that has been achieved in Uzbekistan under the leadership of President Mirziyoyev. The commitment with President Mirziyoyev and the European Union to strengthen these ties has led to very strong economic collaboration, a lot of key knowledge exchange, and investment as highlighted in a number of sectors. We at Suez are honored to be part of that journey. I think I can highlight that we were one of the first European companies to participate in Uzbekistan, going back quite a few years. And I'd like to share some of our insights, visions, and priorities as we look to continue to develop opportunities in Uzbekistan. We started looking at Uzbekistan not long after President Mirziyoyev launched his landmark reforms back in 2017, and we have really viewed with a very impressed attitude the strides that have been made in Uzbekistan over the past years, including liberalizing the economy, obtaining a sovereign credit rating, and enacting a number of laws facilitating foreign investment. We believe that these laws and these changes have really created an environment to facilitate foreign and especially European investment and long-term cooperation. Suez, as a global leader in environmental services, is particularly encouraged by the efforts being made in the water, wastewater and waste management sectors in Uzbekistan, including not only in the cities but also in the regions. I think that we can see a very strong commitment and dedication to implementing resilient, resource-efficient long-term solutions, and we are proud to participate and would be proud to participate even more in opportunities going forwards. I think Suez's work in Uzbekistan is grounded on achieving objectives using sustainable development solutions, focusing on resilience to the climate. Uzbekistan is obviously a country which is seeing very positive population growth, economic growth, but also facing the challenge of climate change, leading to massive pressure on the very rare and scarce water resources in the country. So it is an area which is being directly impacted by climate change, especially with a growing population. So We believe it's a key challenge, and those of you who know the water sector understand that water is key to many of the things we do, whether it be health, whether it be food and agriculture, whether it be just basically having access to drinking water. So it is a key in a number of areas, of strategic areas for Uzbekistan, and we can see a very, very strong focus of the Uzbek authorities and clearly a top priority for the future. In terms of local capacity, we place a lot of importance in developing local skills. We have been working closely with our Uzbek colleagues in the water sector to help and support and develop talents locally. You may know that we started our co-management project around the Tashkent water and wastewater services around a year ago, and we have been supporting them strongly in terms of developing the local skills as well as implementing new technologies. But I would highlight that over the past year we've trained up more than 700 locals in terms of developing their skills in managing water and wastewater, including many local programs, but also some programs in France, in Europe, where we've been training employees from the national water company, Utsuv, but also the Tashkent Water Company. And this is obviously a work that we plan to continue and to apply to obviously potentially other regions of the country. We believe this is key to empowering local talent, as the European President said, and ensuring long-term environmental projects that are sustainable for Uzbekistan. Maybe a little word about public-private partnerships. I think we also share the opinion that they are key to developing sustainable infrastructure. These sorts of partnerships can enable innovative financing, new project opportunities and investment opportunities, and potentially accelerate some key projects, especially for local communities. Suez is committed to being a key partner for PPPs in Uzbekistan, and we would be keen to continue to participate in the development of long-term resilient infrastructure. We are currently working on a potential large-scale PPP project in the Shokondaria region, which could potentially become the first big water PPP in the whole of Central Asia. I think this is a key project both for the Uzbek government and for Suez and for Europe, as it would be a great opportunity to demonstrate the strong viability and success of the PPP model in quite a challenging environment. A little word about Euros. Obviously, Euros has played a pivotal role in advancing economic ties between the European Union and Uzbekistan, creating a very strong platform for collaboration, exchanges between companies and officials, and exchanging ideas. And we are very strongly in favor of continuing to develop this platform. As a Euros board member, I am personally honored to be participating today and speaking today. And I'm sure that this will mark a new milestone in developing cooperation between the European Union and Uzbekistan. So, dear friends and participants of the forum, over the next 2 days, there's an exciting lineup of panels on a number of subjects of interest: water, environmental standards, ESG, digital solutions, and so on. I think this can give some great opportunities to share new insights and build ideas together and strengthen partnerships. I would just like to highlight that there is a specific panel on water for those of you who are particularly interested in the water subject later this morning. And I would invite any of you who are interested to participate so we can have more detailed discussions on the potential in water and how we can develop strong partnerships in water in Uzbekistan. So finally, I would like to say thank you again to the Uzbek authorities, to Euros, for organizing this great event, for developing opportunities in the country, and I wish you all a very enjoyable event over the next 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Next, I'd like to invite our guest, Henry Collaley, Hawk-class advisor, Director General of International Partnerships, European Commission. Welcome to Tashkent.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm extremely pleased, humbled, and privileged to be here in Uzbekistan, in the beautiful and historic city of Tashkent, and to address you at the opening ceremony of the European Economic Days, together with His Excellency Presidential Advisor Ravshan Gulyamov, His Excellency Minister Laziz Kudratov, His Excellency Ambassador Toivo Klaar, and of course with Paul Bourdillon and Pierre-Paul Antonissen, who are all here at the stage. Also, a very good morning to all of you, dear ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, but above all, dear friends. This year, we are celebrating 30 years of our diplomatic relationship and partnership between European Union and Uzbekistan. And I'm very pleased that today we are focusing on the economic aspects, business opportunities of this relationship by looking at the future prospects that are in front of us. In recent years, EU Central Asia and EU Uzbekistan, as we have also heard from the previous speakers, relations have developed fast and have widened as well as deepened through several high-level visits and numerous events at all levels. These have brought our regions, people and businesses closer together and have created an enabling framework for our long-term engagement, taking our partnership with Central Asia and Uzbekistan to the next level. These developments have been supported by the many ambitious economic and societal reforms implemented in this region, and in particular in Uzbekistan, over the past years, which has made it a bustling and fast developing region. Our engagement with all Central Asian countries is covered by the Global Gateway strategy with a win-win offer based on partnerships and human-centric approach with a strong focus on skills building and capacity building, a cooperative way to trade, digital and green transitions with the objective to foster digitalization, in particular through satellite connectivity, and to support the green transition on energy and water management while promoting the adoption of responsible environmental standards, and by transport connectivity in the framework of the Trans-Caspian Transport Corridor, a key flagship of our Global Gateway strategy. This collaboration is strengthened by the deepening cooperation in the area of critical raw materials and rare earth elements through strategic partnerships with Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and our outreach to other Central Asian partners. I would here like to express also my gratitude to our Uzbek friends for signing the Critical Raw Materials Memorandum of Understanding, becoming our strategic partner earlier this year, and I hope we can now soon finalize our first roadmap to operationalize the Memorandum of Understanding and strengthen further our cooperation. Connectivity lies in the heart of the EU Global Gateway strategy, as I already mentioned. This is about networks and the flow of people, goods, services, and capital. Central Asia, as a region at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, plays here a pivotal role, as we are also while we are developing further the people-to-people contacts, business-to-business contacts, and also support education and skills development. With about 75 million people and a large young population, especially in this country, the region offers many opportunities. Economic development plays a key role for the success, as is the diversification of economies and embracing new, smart and sustainable solutions in many economic areas that help to create more jobs, increase prosperity, as well as the export potential. The EU is the second trading partner for Central Asia, accounting for 1/4 of the combined foreign trade. At the same time, the EU is the biggest investor in Central Asia, with more than 40% of the accumulated investment in the region. By that, we have already established a solid base to build on and to continue to deepen our economic partnership in many areas, which is also the reason why you are all here today. In contrast to corrosive capital that is focused on value extraction, our investments represent constructive capital that supports the development of Central Asian countries with long-term engagement to build on the promotion of local value chains, creation of jobs, inclusion of local communities, and delivering economic prosperity. And these are not only just words, but these are also actions, as you just heard a moment ago when Mr. Paul Bourdillon told us about the Suez engagement with local communities and support of the development of the region, and of course creating jobs and opportunities for people. These are genuine engagements where we want to have real partnerships. I have observed the positive developments in the region, as many other people have, and in particular here in Uzbekistan, and also the drive for modernization and reforms. I'm happy to see the vibrant business community and more investors from Europe and like-minded countries establishing themselves in the region, thus contributing to the positive change and economic development. And it does not surprise me, as when we look around the globe and see many geopolitical tensions and conflicts, then Central Asia comes out as a region that is a pillar of stability and where one can witness positive developments and encouraging reforms amidst the volatile and challenging world we are currently living in. Having that in mind, the Trans-Caspian Transport Corridor plays a significant role in bringing all Central Asian countries together, along with the private sector and international financial institutions, with the goal to turn this corridor into a modern, competitive, smart, sustainable, affordable, predictable, and reliable multimodal economic gateway, which should be able to bring goods from this region to Europe in less than 15 days, as President von der Leyen also underlined. It is a highly relevant route in the current geopolitical context. One could say that developing the corridor is the renaissance of the Great Silk Road, serving today's needs for seamless connectivity. And may I recall that the Great Silk Road was never an actual road or a single route, but a network of routes, interconnected pathways. This is exactly what the Trans-Caspian Transport Corridor is also about, a network that would bring all Central Asian countries closer to each other and closer to Europe and beyond, by enhancing connectivity, cooperation, and creating new opportunities for all. As in the ancient times, it would also have a potential to be the corridor of ideas, knowledge, and innovation. To finish, let me underline that the EU's cooperation and engagement with Uzbekistan and Central Asia is deeper, richer, and more intense than I managed to describe here. And the opportunities that this cooperation unlocks are significant, and we must seize them to deepen our partnership. As President von der Leyen said, the best is yet to come, as we are here to develop a long-term, genuine win-win partnership. We can only achieve that together, because only by joining forces, only through a collective effort where all key players are involved, from the government to the private sector, from the businesses to international partners and civil society organizations, will we be able to achieve concrete results for all of us. Thank you very much for your kind attention. It was a real pleasure and honor to address this distinguished audience, and I'm very much looking forward to the day that will be ahead of us with many interesting discussions, food for thought, and of course, building closer partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Next, I'd like to invite His Excellency Ambassador Toivo Klar, Ambassador to the European Union to Uzbekistan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is very difficult to follow on such great speeches, whether it is the remarks by President Mirziyoyev, or it is the remarks of President von der Leyen, or of Minister Kudratov, or indeed of my good friend Henrik Hololei, or the important work that Euros and Mr. Oybek Sheikov and our European colleagues here have been doing in bringing this event together. So I will make my intervention very short. This event, the fact that there's so many of you here, symbolizes the vast potential that Uzbekistan offers to foreign investors. From a young and educated population and abundant natural resources to a dynamically growing market. As we celebrate 30 years of EU-Uzbekistan partnership, our trade figures have marked this occasion through an exponential growth in recent years. Just to emphasize what President von der Leyen already stressed in her remarks. The EU's exports in 2023 reached 4.35 billion euros, which was an increase of 18% or 16% on the previous year, while EU imports from Uzbekistan were 780 million. Our total trade turnover grew by 11% compared to 2022. But obviously, there is a lot of untapped potential behind these figures. Nevertheless, these numbers show the stories and illustrate the stories of European businesses taking bold decisions to invest in Uzbekistan. The way forward for our partnership is clear. We support the ambitious reform path that Uzbekistan has embarked on. We will continue to assist Uzbekistan with all the tools at our disposal, be it GSP+, support for Uzbekistan's WTO accession, or the EPCA, which once signed will open a new chapter for our partnership. Moreover, the EU support to the development of Uzbekistan at political, economic, and trade level is fully aligned with Uzbekistan's own priorities and is intended to support the vision for a new Uzbekistan, as espoused by President Mirziyoyev. The ultimate goal of our engagement is to contribute to the overall economic development of Uzbekistan. Our assumption is also that by continuing on the reform path, this will result in a level playing field for European companies and will make more and more European companies turn their attention to Uzbekistan. In January of this year, we held an investors conference in Brussels, which brought together governments, financing institutions, businesses, and civil society from Europe and Central Asia to discuss the required investments to transform the Trans-Caspian Transport Corridor into the cutting-edge, multimodal, and efficient route that has been talked about today by preceding interventions. This will boost our trade, and it will make the investments between the EU and Uzbekistan a foundation for a long and solid partnership that will expand and strengthen the ties that already existed over many centuries between Europe and Central Asia, and will bring us even closer together than we are today. This will also be cemented by the summit that will be held in Samarkand, as President von der Leyen mentioned in her introductory address next year. I also wish to mention the fact that we are living in a very uncertain world, in a world where international norms are being violated, where sovereignty is being questioned. And in this world, it is even more important that a region such as Central Asia, with a strong nation such as Uzbekistan, works closely together with us, with the European Union, in reinforcing the international order, in reinforcing respect for the sovereignty and independence of countries, and that we continue this very important work together for the sake of the stability of this region, which after all is a common region for us all, ranging from Central Asia all the way to the western shores of the European Union. Let me conclude by thanking everyone who contribute to the developing of the EU-Uzbekistan partnership, and to wish all of you a very successful and, more importantly, very profitable 2 days here in Tashkent. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Last but not least, I'd like to introduce Pierre-Paul Antonescens, General Director, EDF Central Asia, and member of the board of Euros, and our treasurer.
Good morning, everyone, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It was difficult for you, Ambassador. It's even more difficult for me to speak the last one and not to repeat what has been said. So I will try to address the audience with some points from a business and business organization point of view. I have a paper in front of me. That's good because I cannot read it. I will need to take my glasses. Sorry for that. If there is an indicator to show the success of Uzbekistan as in attracting foreign investors, I think that the number and the vitality of business organization and chamber of commerce would be a very good one. The last years, many chambers have been created, and let's take the example of the French Chamber of Commerce. It has been created just 1 year ago. They celebrate their first anniversary. It was created during the visit of President Macron in Samarkand. To create a chamber, you need a critical mass of companies. And in the case of the French chamber, you needed 50, 60 companies just to be able to become a chamber of commerce. And the French chamber is just one example. In Tashkent, we have the German chamber, we have the Italian chamber, we have many, many chambers. So just to give you an idea of the vitality, and I think this shows the great interest that Uzbekistan has succeeded to create as an investment hub. At Eurouz, we are very happy to work with everyone, to cooperate with the different European chambers, and to support the many EU missions visiting Uzbekistan. So we try to do our best and to support that. We have made the motto of the European Union. United, we are stronger. We believe very much in a coordinated European approach to business. Of course, some members of Eurouz, they are competitors. We do compete, some projects, sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. This is part of the game, and we know that. But also, we can also decide to unite our forces to develop common projects. And here, I would like to give you an example. That's a beautiful project of Sukhandaria, the building of a major thermal power plant, where Siemens Energy, EDF, supported by Qatari partners and working very closely with a Dutch-Uzbek company, we have decided to set up this project. This project is taking place, 1.2 billion euro investment, and it is in the south of country, close to Termes. There will be European equipment, and there is a financing from the ECA, from Europe, from Germany, from Belgium. It's a beautiful example that if we want to join forces, we can get very good results. We are also happy to welcome colleagues from sister organizations from Kazakhstan. We have Eurobac, and we have also the Benelux Chamber of Commerce. And here, I would like to make a short point on the regional cooperation in Central Asia. From a business point of view, it is crucial. We already can see the regional cooperation in the energy sector, with more and more projects aiming at producing energy in one country for export to the other one. But that's great. But when we see the potential of the 5 Central Asian countries, the assets which each country can bring to the other one, we can easily figure out the attractiveness of such a market of close to 80 million people now, but 100 million tomorrow. So I think that the European Union and the OECD present here, they have a lot of experience to share in the field of regional cooperation. And actually, the OECD will have a dedicated session this afternoon on a related topic, which I really advise you to attend. We are very proud to have organized these European Economic Days. This is the very first time that such an event is organized in Uzbekistan. We hope that you will enjoy it. Your feedback will be very important for us. Too long, too short, did we miss some topics? Really, we will need your feedback because our intention is very clear. We want to make of this event in Uzbekistan. So thank you in advance for sharing that at the end of the EEDs. Before concluding, I would like to thank a lot of people. First of all, I would like to thank the government of Uzbekistan for the commitment and long-lasting support. I would like to thank the European authorities for really the support and the guidance. I would like also to thank the sponsors, because it's important to say we got a lot of sponsors, And let me take my hat as a Euro-Uz treasurer to say that we are a non-profit organization. We just live from the membership fees. And so if there are in this room a few companies which are still hesitating, stop, jump in and join us. And I would like also to thank very much you, because we believed when we organized this event that there would be an attendance of 100 persons. At the end of the day, it happened that we have more than 400 persons registered. This is also an indicator that shows the great interest, I think, that all of you and all of us we have in these European Economic Days. And a last word, I would like to thank the Euro-Uz staff, especially the General Secretary, Mr. Oybek Shaikov, and all the team. I will not nominate them, all of them, but to be frank, they have not slept a lot for the last couple of days just to organize this event. So thank you very much, and thank you to you. Before we go to the next session, and we'll make it after each panel, please, we will just make a picture of the panelists, and then we move to the next session. Thank you. Can I ask you to come forward? Ladies and gentlemen, the program continues. We'll have a very interesting session on the WTO accession, and I would like to invite the moderator of this session. He is a board member of Euro-Uz. He is also the Business Development Director of Veolia for Central Asia. Please welcome Mr. Shane Butuila.
Very good morning, everyone. We'll try to keep the pace. I'm honored to introduce today the first panel discussion, which is on Uzbekistan's WTO accession, the current reforms, and Central Asia's role in the global economy. I will invite our distinguished panelists from now. So, Mr. Azizbek Urunov, Special Representative of the President of Uzbekistan on WTO issues and the Chief Negotiator at the Administration of the President of Uzbekistan. Thank you very much, dear Azizbek. A month ago, you were also participating to a breakfast for the chamber. So please, to share your insights, and I know you're just coming from the US, and I congratulate you on the big news that you will share with the audience. I will invite His Excellency Toivo Klar, Ambassador. Thank you very much. Mr. Peter Kovacs, Head of Unit, Industry, Goods, Energy, Customs and Origin from the European Commission. Dear fellow member from the Euro's Board of Directors, Abdul Hamid Muminov, PwC Uzbekistan Managing Partner. And Kazumasa Mukae, General Director of Coca-Cola, Uzbekistan, former Chief of Staff of President of Coca-Cola Japan and South Korea. Dear guests, my name is Shahin Boutwila. I am the Development Director for Veolia for Central Asia. I'm based in Tashkent since 2019, and I feel privileged, energized to organize this panel discussion. I know Uzbekistan has deep hospitality traditions. I would suggest round of applause for two of our guests that have recently been appointed and conduct their missions in Uzbekistan, His Excellency Ambassador, and our dear Kamzamaza Mukai. So, welcome to Uzbekistan. I personally wish to both of you, beyond success, health, and fun, to experience a fantastic cultural experience in this country. Now, without further ado, we will start the discussion on a very important topic. As you know, Uzbekistan it's not new, the accession to the WTO. It started in 1994. The process was halted in 2005 and formally restarted in 2020 as part of a broad package of socio-economic reforms and transformation led President Mirziyoyev to liberalize the economy and modernize the domestic trade regime. The good news is that the process has not only restarted, it follows now an accelerated pace, as testified by the chair of the Working Party, Ambassador Yoon Seong-deok from South Korea, with a clear objective of accessing the WTO in 2026. In substance, Uzbekistan seems ready to make the big leap toward WTO membership. Dear Aziz Bek, during the 8th meeting of the Working Party on the accession of Uzbekistan to the WTO, Geneva, 24th of May, WTO members, and I quote, commended Uzbekistan for its efforts in implementing the necessary reforms for accession and highlighted areas still requiring action. We assume that pursuing the accession involves finding a balance of rights and obligation, and as such, I'd like you to share with our audience some of the key challenges in WTO accession negotiations.
Morning to everyone. Thank you for the invitation and for the discussions on the Uzbekistan's WTO accession. And indeed, for the past years, it has been one of the key pillars in our economic reforms of Uzbekistan. And I just want to mention that Uzbekistan's WTO accession is not just the accession itself, but mostly it is all about the economic reforms we have been doing, and it's the part of integral part of what we have been doing for the past 8 years already, because WTO accession has been in the agenda of Uzbekistan's economic reforms from the first days of President Mirziyoyev's coming into the office. But the first years indeed have been devoted for the preparations for the urgent reforms we have been doing since then, and trade liberalization, foreign exchange liberalization were the first steps. At the same time, we prepared ourselves in terms of WTO accession, and from 2020 we officially relaunched, let's say, the activity of the Working Party. The first Working Party meeting was met then in 2020, and from last year, with the new, let's say, impetus in our accession process, with the adoption of the presidential resolution, the accession process has been speeded up. And you just mentioned the challenges on this accession process. Accession process itself is a big challenge, because sometimes WTO members, long-standing WTO members, they lose the shoes in terms of how challenging it is, the accession. That's why in terms of negotiations, to be honest, it's a bit easier to negotiate with the latest acceded countries. Why? Because they haven't forgot how difficult the process is. And sometimes we feel that even in our bilateral negotiations, some developed countries, they are demanding the same, let's say, requirements from the developing countries or least developed countries. And I think from the perspective of the provisions of the WTO agreements and from the regard that developing countries are helping, developed countries are helping the developing countries and the LDCs in terms of their economic push-ups. Sometimes you feel a bit unfair in this term because you cannot be treated at the same level with the developed countries. And sometimes it is very hard in bilateral negotiations because there are the provisions of the WTO agreements, let's say GATT provisions, Article 18, which says developing countries must have still a bit room for supporting their economic development, industrial development, and so on. But some countries keep demanding from acceding countries the same level of, let's say, requirements in terms of market access, in terms of liberalization, as if those developing countries, in terms of economic status or economic level, at the same stage with the developed countries. But you just fairly mentioned that I'm back from Washington on Monday, and we successfully finished with the United States the bilateral negotiations. And I hope it's going to give a boost for speeding up these bilateral negotiations with the remaining countries. We don't have many countries. Most of the countries with whom we were to negotiate, we finished with them. 21 countries are already behind. So we still have a few countries to finish with, and we are aiming to exceed the WTO in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Aziz Bey. His Excellency, Ambassador. As one of the largest trading blocs and WTO members, I know that the European Union is engaged in bilateral negotiations with the government of Uzbekistan. You are also one of the key players in the multilateral negotiations, as well as one of the biggest funders of technical assistance for Uzbekistan's WTO accession. So why are you so invested in the WTO accession process in Uzbekistan?
Thank you very much. And indeed, on more technical details, I will leave that to my colleague Peter Kovac, who knows these things so much better than I do. I will focus on the broader picture, and indeed, as you said, we have supported Uzbekistan to the tune of almost 5 million euros since 2020 to help Uzbekistan's team prepare for the negotiations, carry out the negotiations, because we see Uzbekistan's accession to the WTO as being in our interest. Naturally, that does not mean that the EU is forgetting about its interests in the course of the negotiations, but we want Uzbekistan to be well prepared for this process and to be a good partner in the negotiating process. And for that, we see it as being in our interest to strengthen Uzbekistan's administrative capacity, which is precisely what we have been doing. We see the ultimate accession of Uzbekistan as being a win-win for us all. We recognize that it is, of course, not an easy process. It takes time, and it has taken time. And of course, Mr. Uronov knows this so much better than I do, and he has been, and he elaborated on this, that this is sometimes a challenging process with of course many players, but it's inching in the right direction. It's moving in the right direction, and we see the ultimate goal of Uzbekistan's accession as strengthening the principle that there has to be a level playing field for companies across markets, that we need common standards and common norms that will ultimately allow both European companies to compete better here in Uzbekistan, and Uzbek companies to compete better on European and global markets. So, in short, it's of course a challenging process. It's part of the economic reforms process, as was mentioned, of Uzbekistan in general. It's a very important part of that reform process, because it is the principle of open markets, of open competition, strengthens the companies of all. Because if we protect our companies, if we protect our markets with unfair measures, it may seem like a short-term win for a particular local champion, but in the end it is a loss both for the domestic consumers and for the competitiveness of the overall economy. So allowing for a level playing field, allowing for free open competition and common rules is in everyone's best interests, both for European companies and for Uzbek companies, and in the end for the global trading system as such. So so that is why we have supported this process, and will continue to support this process, because we hope to benefit from it in the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. I would like to turn to Peter to get try a bigger picture of the post-accession. And the question to you, Peter, is let's try to basically help our audience to get this flavor of, and by the way, I did some homework and I found out that the President of the European Council, Charles Michel, was delivering last Friday a presidential lecture on the role of a multilateral trading system in a world of multiple crises and emerging challenges. So, Mr. Ambassador mentioned at his introductory speech that the world is more and more uncertain and complex. So the question to you, just share with us some insights on how in this world that, what is the role of this multilateral trading system?
Thank you for the question. Indeed, the President of the European Council, he built his speech around the 3T last week, which is trust, trade, and transform. And I think this is a very good summary of what we are trying to do and what Uzbekistan tries to do also in the accession talks. And I can only commend Mr. Urunov for his achievements already in the negotiations. This is a very complex process. You're not only discussing multilaterally, practically you face the whole world in the negotiations. You do the multilateral work, and in parallel, or even more importantly, you do the bilateral works and negotiations, which can be very tough, given also the diversity of the memberships and different interests. Indeed, the world is becoming more and more uncertain, and we have a choice, or do we? So either we are fine with that and we believe it as it is, so it will become even more uncertain than before, or we try to change it. And actually, if we turn back the process and try to make the world more certain. And what is the guarantee of certainty? Multilateralism and rule-based system. We in the EU, we strongly believe that without multilateralism and without rules, the world will become even more uncertain. And this is what is proven by the recent developments. Yes, in the WTO, there is a crisis. You can't deny it. There is a crisis of trust. It's because of the diversity of the membership, the potentially different interests, and it is shown by the different issues in terms of dispute settlement, in terms of the process, the dialogue, and also in terms of new rule making. So why it is still important, the WTO? First of all, the WTO still works with its problems, with its deficiencies. The implementation of the existing agreements still works. The key principles of the WTO, like most favored nation or non-discrimination, they are embedded in the domestic frameworks of the members, and dispute settlement is still ongoing, despite the fact that there is problem with the system itself. So in fact, there is a choice between a rule-based system and a system based on power and force. And of course, there is a choice, there is an option which different countries can make. But we strongly believe that the system based on rules and rule of law is the one which we have to opt for if we want to develop our cooperation and if we want to make the world certain. So we need to rebuild trust in the WTO. We can do it by strengthening multilateralism, and there, of course, it comes with compromises. It always comes with compromises. We need to agree. The European Union with India, with Uzbekistan, with Australia, with Brazil. We need to sit at the table and agree on the way forward. Because of course, the next E is trade. Trade has always been the engine of our prosperity, and actually also the main motive for international cooperation, international relations. And that's also a guarantee for peace. If we can trade well based on common rules, which fit everybody more or less, again with the compromises, then we can maintain peace, we can maintain the prosperity of our countries. So this rule-based system is much more than just a technical framework. This is also a collective vision for prosperity and peace for us. So that's why we really welcome Uzbekistan's intention, and I hope that in December, in the next round, there will be big progress. Thank you.
If you allow me, I just want to add one very important point in terms of challenges within the WTO. So when WTO was established, one of the key principles that was set up by its members was to regulate the trade by tariff measures rather than non-tariff measures. But if you look at for the past 30 years, how do things develop progress? So most of the countries indeed liberalized their tariff measures, but non-tariff measures are burdening currently the trade among the countries. So this is one of the key challenges that's happening within the WTO. Because some countries say, yes, we do have the free trade between, we have a free trade in terms of tariff measures, in terms of access to the market, but if you look at the non-tariff measures, so most of them, they are the blocking measures that's let's say, keeping the countries from heightened trade. That's why recently those non-tariff measures are becoming one of the biggest challenges among the countries. Sometimes we see a lot of people, foreigners that come to Uzbekistan, they enjoy the fruits and vegetables of Uzbekistan. But when we talk to them in terms of exporting those fruits and vegetables, those non-tariff measures are being raised immediately, saying that you need to comply with these requirements, that requirements. That's still keeping us from improving the trade relations among the countries. That's why within the WTO, when we look at those things, we need to think about how to align in order to follow the key principles that was set when the WTO was established in 1995. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Peter, you mentioned the trade being the engine, and I recall from Charles Michel saying that then the trust is the fuel of that engine, then to lead the transformation back to the three T's you raised. I think it's time to have a PwC perspective to this discussion. Dear Abdul Hamid, given PwC has been operating since 1995 in Uzbekistan, servicing a wide range of clients, and given your knowledge and expertise in economic development and global trade, I'd like you to address Uzbekistan's foreseeable trade-offs in pursuing the WTO accession. What could be the long-term benefits in comparison to short-term costs to Uzbek companies, not to say substantial shocks to some incumbents?
Yeah, thank you. I think most of us know, and already been mentioned, about the obvious benefits that WTO membership normally brings to countries. So I'll try to start with the areas which are maybe not so obvious for Uzbekistan. First one I would mention is a perception that the fact that Uzbekistan is not still member of WTO, whereas all of our neighbors in so many countries, 160 in the world, are there, in itself is not a good sign. It sends a certain message when foreign companies considering either making investment or having trade relations with the country. Although I'm not aware of any case where decisions were reversed, but it puts Uzbekistan in a different risk bucket, increased scrutiny in terms of doing due diligence and making longer term plans in terms of sustainability, because not being part of WTO creates certain uncertainty in terms of policies and legislative acts in the future. So it's really important to deal with that perception issue and get into the WTO membership as soon as possible. I think actually it's even the fact that we are on the road, we are in the accession process already sends a very good signal. Actually our session here being immediately after the keynote, part of this two-day event in itself is a sign that how important this WTO accession is for Uzbekistan at this point in time. So perception. Second one, I would say transparency. Transparency in general, but specifically, I believe WTO rules require all the regulations that deal with primarily trade, but also wider taxation and other issues to be publicly available. Shaheen, you mentioned that we've been in business over 30 years. We help a lot of companies to negotiate with government directly certain benefits or specific environment, ring-fencing their business opportunity or business operations, etc., including tax and customs benefits. Historically, most of them have been open, but our observation is more recent documents like that have been not for public use, whether it's a sector-specific or a company-specific. It could be a decree of the government, it could be in some kind of investment agreement, and etc. So I think the great benefit that WTO membership will bring in, I guess, after some transition period, that all those documents should become publicly available, and everyone can read which sector, which product, or which company enjoys a specific benefit that's not available to others, which is, I think, very important in terms of making it publicly available knowledge, which should in turn lead to the third area, which already been mentioned by a number of people already, is equal playing field. Obviously, it will be public voice questioning this type of treatment, as well as WTO rules themselves, which require equal treatment for all business participants. And WTO extends actually only to tax rules as well, not only the customs and cross-border trade. So that's probably going to bring in the fourth very important benefit is to contribute to creating a level playing field in Uzbekistan. I think the very important benefit that we're all expecting is reduction of prices to a certain extent. So cost of living, we should all benefit from this as consumers. I guess that would be what we're expecting from WTO accession as a country. Now, last point I mentioned, reduction of cost, has a cost in itself. Yeah, we have so many companies in Uzbekistan which have invested into, which believed in the policy of our government and made important decisions to invest into various types of businesses. And if you look, there's a list of custom duties and excise in Uzbekistan. There's so many products which have, for example, 30% customs duty. So reducing it to a lower level would mean that imported goods will become cheaper. I guess very simple example, if you go to any grocery or any supermarket and compare, for example, prices of soap, locally made soap is about 6 plus minus thousand. Imported soap is about 9 plus minus, so it's about 50% to 40% difference. And then customs duty is 30% and VAT is 12% on top of it, which also includes into its base customs duty. So imported soap will become very, very close in price to locally produced soap. So that means the choices for those for whom that difference makes, that price difference makes difference in choosing what to buy may move into favor of imported soap. So which means those businesses, those investments, those employments will be under question. So it's a lot of questions for the government, difficult decisions, difficult choices to make. Another one maybe what we know is cotton yarn export is under ban. So because we have so many textile factories, so that we want to make sure that supply of cotton yarn is made available to them. As soon as that export ban is lifted, our textile companies will find themselves into situations that they have to buy at market prices with the cotton yarn. So there'll be lots of issues to deal with that will come with cost reductions. Those costs actually serve now as protection measures. And I guess the last one I would mention is that government will find itself short of a lot of revenue that is now charging in terms of custom duties and VAT and other measures. So.
Thank you. Abdulhamid, you mentioned and emphasized on the leveling the playing field, which leads me to Kazumazaka. Coca-Cola is always an interesting brand to study. I think your case in Uzbekistan in the region was also some consideration. You've been operating and expanding businesses in the region for years. In a sense, you haven't waited for the succession to make investment decisions. And the question is that what would this accession mean for your organization in terms of what Abdulhamid mentioned, leveling the playing field in the Uzbek food and beverage industry, and an emphasis on a topic we haven't talked much so far, adopting more sustainable practices in line with relevant sustainable development goals. I know it's a tough question, but I hope you're prepared for, and we're listening to you.
Yes, thank you very much. WTO accession and leveling the playing field It's a very important topic for us. So first of all, thank you for letting me join this very important discussion with these very distinguished guests today. I think to answer your question, please let me first try to share a little bit of the context and our journey here in Uzbekistan for Coca-Cola Company. We believe in Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan is a very attractive market for us, young and growing population, very strategic geography in Central Asia. We hire local talent here, and I see immense potential and opportunity for the talent here in Uzbekistan. The recent pace of government reforms has been very promising, and this inspired one of our top 6 bottling companies in the Coca-Cola system to invest here in 2021. I think one of the opening remarks talked about privatization. And since this privatization in 2021, we've significantly not only increased our production capacities, but also we grew together with the value chain, with our suppliers, with our distributors, with the store outlets, with the restaurants, and employment has flourished. Over the last few years, the indirect jobs we support is more than doubled to 77,000, while we directly employ 1,600 jobs in Uzbekistan. Despite Uzbekistan's non-membership in the WTO, we successfully navigated local regulations and followed the principles of the Coca-Cola global standards and rules. And we've achieved very solid growth in the last few years. In fact, in 2023, Coca-Cola Uzbekistan joined one of the top 40 markets all over the world. We serve Coca-Cola in close to 200 countries globally, but Uzbekistan is now in the top 40. And since Uzbekistan is not the member of the WTO currently, there is no sustainability agenda that's part of the regulatory requirements for our industry, but that has not stopped us from being responsible global citizens. And our business is based on sustainable approach aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, including recycled packaging, reduced water usage, more efficient energy usage, and positive social impact, including gender equality and supporting local communities. We're dedicated to continue this journey as a responsible global citizen. However, we should not undertake this journey alone. And it is critical that local companies and society join us in this effort for a better future of Uzbekistan. And to answer your question directly, how would the WTO accession help leveling the playing field? I see 3 main points. First of all, on one hand, I'm very impressed with the country's reforms and eagerness to embrace positive change. On the other hand, I have noticed some procedures demand considerable time and effort, which can divert us from the critical focus on business. Leveling the playing field, I think there are 3 main aspects from the global business lens. One is tariffs and trade barriers. Adapting international standards for duties and taxes and standardized procedures, including certifications and regulations through this WTO commitments would streamline processes, reduce costs, and align regulation with global standards. This will ultimately benefit the entire industry and create more employment and more value for this country. For example, when we import new coolers that you see in the store outlets, this process needs to go through multiple testing and certification processes that takes a lot of attention and effort from our side. Second is transparent regulatory environment. A more stable and foreseeable business environment would reduce the risks associated with sudden regulatory changes and non-tariff barriers. By adopting WTO principles, we can ensure that regulations are more predictable, evidence-based, and developed in consultation with relevant business and industries. This would foster a more business-friendly environment, inviting more companies to further invest in this market with full potential. My third and final point is fair competition and innovation. Less control and regulations can boost the speed of innovation. WTO accession will encourage a shift towards more preventive safety measures while allowing producers to take responsibility for their own quality and assurance for their products. This change will reduce the need for time-consuming certification procedures for companies that already meet these compliance standards. For example, when we change or introduce new products into the market based on consumer needs and demand, this too has to go through registration process, which is slowing down innovation. So in conclusion, Coca-Cola believes in Uzbekistan, believes in the potential of this market, and we are committed to supporting Uzbekistan's journey towards WTO accession, and we are ready to contribute in any way to share our experience and best practices around the world. Together, I think we can foster an environment that encourages investment, nurtures innovation, and ensures a sustainable development to unlock the full potential of this promising market in Uzbekistan. Thank you.
Yeah, Kazumasa, thank you very much for that. I would like us to go just broader than Uzbekistan, and assuming, Azizbek, you'd agree with me that the intra-regional trade is currently below its potential, and with the three neighboring countries that have gone through the WTO accession process already, namely Kyrgyz Republic in 1998, Tajikistan in 2013, and Kazakhstan in 2015. And with Turkmenistan that initiated the process in 2022, what is, in your view, the potential of trade facilitation in Central Asia?
Thank you for the question. Very good. I think it's a very good question indeed, because we are not using for the full the Central Asian potential. And I believe that WTO accession will bring a lot of positive impact on the regional economic cooperation. Why? The first reason is that we'll be speaking in the same language, trade language, when we accede the WTO. So it will help us from many perspectives. Trade facilitation might be one good impact on that. And what is very special for the region is that this region is, the economies of the region are complementary rather than competing. That's why the cooperation among the countries might bring a lot of benefit. As you rightly mentioned, currently trade relations are not at the level we could use. I do see a promising market of Central Asia maybe equal to 1 billion USD, but currently we are not using even 30% of it in terms of our inter-trade cooperation. So if you look at most of the regions, most of the trade is happening between neighbors. So in this term, it's going to open a new chapter in terms of economic cooperation. And what is very important about the region is that region is connecting big economies. China in the east, European Union in the west, and we have Russian market, which is big for this region, and the South Asian market, and as well as the Gulf region. So WTO accession might guarantee the improvement of the region as a transit territory, as a linkage between those big economies. Because freedom of transit, which is guaranteed by the GATT, by the WTO agreement, might bring a lot of benefits. And the third point is, a very important point, is that it will improve the investment attractiveness of the region as a whole. As I mentioned, we can build a very good value-added change in the region. Again, connecting big economies and being in the center of it. And eventually, it might bring a lot of economic benefits for the region as a whole. Now, three countries of the region are already WTO members, and we are putting a goal of exceeding WTO in the nearest perspective. And what I hear from the WTO Secretariat and WTO members is that Turkmenistan is also activating very much in terms of their WTO accession. And eventually, we hope that until 2030, because as I heard, Turkmenistan is now also putting a goal of exceeding WTO by 2030. So starting from 2030, it's going to bring a completely different economic impact in the region, as all the countries will become the WTO members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aziz Beg. My very last question is to His Excellency Ambassador Toivo Klar. What do you see as that the audience would leave with that clear takeaway? What do you see as the main benefits of Uzbekistan's WTO accession, both for the EU-Uzbekistan trade relations and regional economic integration?
That's a very broad question, and besides, I think this Mr. Uronov just also answered this. I mean, if all the Central Asian countries are part of the WTO and also the